Law is the highest reasoning embedded by nature, which permits what should be done and forbids the contrary. When the law is silent. When the law is silent on a particular issue, what do you do? What do you refer to? What reference do you make? In the days of yore, when the law developed in ancient England, the common law principle was very rigid. It was such that when a mortgagor fails to offset its debt with the mortgagee loses his property. There is no remedy, there's no solution. The law is fixed, rigid, and concrete. As a result of this phenomenon, there was a lot of complaints to the king in those days. People had to resort to a lot of complaints. Litigants were going to the king to ask for mercy, to ask for a way to soften the law, to ameliorate it, and to give them soft landing such that they are able to respond to the strict code of the rules of law as it was applied by the common law. So it got to a point the king became so confused that the complaints were so much. He appoints someone called the Lord Chancery to look at all these complaints and apply moral reasoning and apply, emotions to them and look at them objectively at the same time so that these litigants can find respite and soft landing against the harsh code of the common law. As a result of this, the people became happy at some point because they got justice. Justice came out from that angle where the Lord Chancellor has to apply reasoning, has to apply emotions, and has to apply certain, soft level of reasoning to find around situations to solve the problem. As a result of that, the doctrine of equity sprang from there. What does the doctrine of equity mean? It simply means a situation whereby, justice is applied to a case from the basis of what is just, what is fair, and what is equitable, not minding what the strict rules of the law have said in the law books. In Nigeria, when the law is silent on an issue, we seem to apply a rigid complex to the issue. Recently, the Federal High Court delivered a judgment wherein it sacked a governor that defected from one political party to the other because the law was silent on the issue. A lot of persons have come up to criticize this judgment, to say that there is nowhere in the Constitution that a Federal High Court can sack a governor. That there are only three ways by the law as stated in the Constitution through which a governor can be removed from office, and that is by resignation, by impeachment, or by death. That has been the argument all over town, that the judgment is wrong. The judgment is wrong because Nigerians are still preoccupied with looking at the law from the concrete analysis of its concept and its spirit, not minding the action of the governor that precipitated the case in question that led to the judgment. But just like the common law of England and the doctrine of equity, okay, I want to bring another perspective to all this, that it is important to look at the conduct of the governor in question and then to look at why the judgment went in the way it went. Fine, it is established by the Supreme Court that it is political parties that actually contest and win or lose elections. The Supreme Court laid that principle down so many years ago, repeated it in 2016. In one breath, the Supreme Court also have a judgment that has to do with Atiku, where it says that if a vice president move from one political party to another, he has not broken any law. And as such, It cannot be seen to have contravened the laws of the land. Why we have these two positions hanging on the breadth of the Supreme Court, the important thing to note here is that, okay, that where the law is silent, okay, there is an application of what we call equity and justice. And that equity and justice is what must be explored in the case in question. First of all, a governor who was elected on the platform of a political party and decide to jettison that political party to another political party cannot take the votes that he scored in his former political party to its new political party, meaning that what the concrete or the substance that gave him victory is not transferable, and that was the position of the court. That is one. Two, the certificate of return, which is always issued 7 days after, between 7 days after election, that was issued to David Umahi of the PDP, cannot be transformed by INEC or cannot be rearranged by INEC to read of the APC. Okay? So, in my understanding of the issue, I think that it is important to take into cognizance the depth, irrespective of the fact that the law is silent, the depth of the conflict, and look at it objectively. Apply both law, morality, and equity to it, and then come to a resolution. I think this is one of the best judgments in the history of Nigeria, if you ask me, because before now, our governors in Nigeria have interpreted Section 308 of the 1999 Constitution that gave them immunity to mean that they can do anything and everything and get away with it. And that has been their practice from day one. But today, the court is saying, no, you cannot do everything you do and get away with it. That there must be consequences for the actions of governors who decide to jettison the law and then take the laws into their hand and do things in their way. Just like the same governor, after the judgment, referred to the judge as a hatchet man and made a lot of uncivilized and unprintable language against the judge. It is typical of a Nigerian governor with so much arrogance. It is important that we entrench the law. This is one judgment that all Nigerians should support and galvanize and mobilize, to promote, such that we are able to check our governors effective. Because if you look at the reasons they move from one political party to another, it is not for the good of the citizen or of their people. It is just for their own political convenience and benefit and value. The Nigerian politics is about where food is ready. And once that happens, they move from one location to the other just to get a value for themselves and arrogate this to themselves. So I think that it is a judgment that must, be put in the front burner, and then we must rally ourselves around it and then project ourselves politically and economically. I shall go to Rabbi again.